Did she say the Michelle Major show? Hmm. This week's episode, I am reflecting on a couple of conversations that I've had with people about me changing the name of my show to the Michelle Major Show. And there's just so much there, y'all. There's so much there. I just had to unpack it because, what we learn, it's kind of a snap, right? Where you're like, this is not the Michelle Major Show. Yeah, I get, okay. And a lot of people relate to calling something Michelle Major Show as you're all that, or, you're too much, or all of the things that, we've probably heard at some point. And what makes it so interesting is that people have very strong reactions to anything that seems like you're acting like you're all that. There's so much in our history, especially as Black folks, where our survival depended on us being small and unseen and don't make waves and don't stand out and just, stay in your lane, or stay in you're too big for your britches. I remember when Barack Obama got out of that motorcade, I'm like, get in the car. Oh my God. I didn't know what to do. I was like, why are you just walking around like a sitting duck? Come on, President Obama, please get back in that motorcade. And, there's just that residual stuff that stays with us, that we're never really quite safe. And the bigger you get, the more in danger you are of being brought down, not just by white folks either, right? It made me think about how we interpret greatness in my community in particular. Like, how do we metabolize someone who is just phenomenal in what they do, right? Either you're just so big, and just almost impeccably flawless, where there's nothing to say, or you are just someone else who got lucky, or there's, just the way that we have to talk about and make sense of greatness in our community is just really interesting. And I'm not even putting myself in that situation. I'm putting that out because people perceive me a particular way that, may bring up whatever feelings they have about people. So I decided that I wanted to change the name for two reasons. One, it was strategic because I had Rojo Rest stuff over here. I had a podcast there. I had, All Things Grace with Major's Leadership over here. I have this and that and all of these things. And all of it is just me. There's all of it is just me. And so I wanted to streamline, get rid of all these other brands and businesses, and just make it about me and the things I love to do and the things that I wanted to talk about, and sharing my reflections as my life unfolds and within the Michelle Show, which brings me to my next point. For better or for worse, we are all the main character in our own show. We're all the main character in our own show. And not only are we the main character, but we're the writer. We write ourselves in as I'm a victim, I'm a hero, I'm a villain. We write ourselves in. So we're writing the story. We're the casting agent. We're bringing all these different characters into our world to cast this show that we're in. Those are your characters. Those aren't mine. That's not my mother or my best friend or my partner or my child. That's yours. That's your cast. And you are the central figure in your story. And your partner is the central figure in their story, and you're one of their cast members, right? And it made me just think about being deliberate in my show. So deliberate in who I'm casting. No, if my show is about this, what do I need this Plumber Joe for over here character? I don't need that character for the story that I'm trying to write. So who are we going to cast? How are we going to write ourselves in? What are the values that the central character holds? The best shows are the ones with lead characters that have a very, very strong value about something. And all of them do. I guess all of them do. Some of their values about money. Janine Teagues, she has very strong value in Abbott Elementary. These are, so that's what makes the story really great is your convictions and what you're committed to and the story that you are building around that value and around this central character. And what happens when you bring someone in and they become the central character in your story? I can speak to that personally. Ain't great. Doesn't really go so well. So when you are the central character and you're casting people and you're writing, you're also producing. Okay, now you stand over there. No, I want you closer to me. I want you to sit closer here. I want your character to represent this value. They may not even be they're casting, you're just casting people in the role that you want them. And so we are the show. You are the show. We are, as a community, as a collective, one big show, right? I think that for me, I felt like really I like that agency to be able to really bring things in. There was somebody that I met out, and they were striking up a conversation, and I could tell like you wouldn't be a great character for my show. You just wouldn't. I know I can hear what you're talking about. Nobody on my show talks about that. There's just some characters you just won't need, and this is not going to bring my story full circle and lift it up the way that I want to lift it up, right? So this is my story, episode by episode, and so I'm kind of, as things are unfolding, I'm just saying, hey, this is kind of what it is, right? And I would love to hear everybody else, like how cool it would be if everybody else had their own story and they could come in, we could get together and they would talk about who their main characters are and what those characters bring to their life, what is the antagonist perspective, what is the protagonist perspective, of these different characters. But above all of that, that kind of idea would at the very least have us thinking clearly and intentionally and thoughtfully about every corner of our life, every person that is in our life, and where we allow them to sit in the story. That would be way more powerful than these things are just happening to me. Oh my gosh. I don't know what I'm going to do, So that's it for this week. And we will see you next week.
I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you have, please like, share, comment, subscribe, do all the things you know to do on the socials, and we'll see you next time.